Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. Thanks for clicking through. I've coined a new term. It's called Tempero Centrism. And it's the tendency to project onto the past the social values, mores, taboos, social constructs of today into the past, judging people from the past by today's standards. And it's ridiculous on its face. Things were very different in the United States and around the entire world even 50 years ago, let alone 100, 200, 300, or 400. Holding historical figures up to the moral bar of today will never work because you simply cannot do that. It's simply not fair, number one, and number two, it's ridiculous on its face. The reason that these people are doing this is either they're uneducated, they haven't thought it through, and they're just filled with rage and filled with anger, and so they're going to do whatever and damn the torpedoes, or because the people that are directing them on purpose. It's a canard. It's a misdirection. The intention here is to misdirect us from what is going on everywhere else. And look, the silent majority is the majority. And in a democratic republic, well, the majority wins. And you may have noticed one thing about politicians. It's the rare politician that actually stands up for something and leads the way on an issue or issues. President Trump is simply doing that. Most politicians look for parades, wait for parades to start, and then jump into the front of the parade, which is what most politicians in the United States are doing now vis-a-vis the Black Lives Matter movement. So the silent majority exists, and I would encourage everybody in the silent majority to make your voices heard. I have a form letter that you can find at my website, riseupintohealth.com. I encourage you to download it, fill it out, and send it to your local, state, and federal government officials, making demands of your own. That if the police are not secured, if the local police departments are not strengthened and secured and do not do their jobs, well, guess what? I'm simply not going to pay my property tax, because the contract that I had with the state or the county in this regard is that you get my money in order to fund the schools, fund the police department, fund the fire department, public libraries, etc., right? You can't just unilaterally decide to take that down and think there are going to be no repercussions. Guess what? There are going to be repercussions. You need to let your congressmen and your senators and your governors know that if they continue to promote these ridiculous notions, which the majority of people in the United States know are ridiculous on their face, that they're not going to be reelected, period. Now, does this mean that there isn't room for social change? Of course there's room for social change. Things need to be done here. Things do need to be fixed. But tearing things down and burning things up is not the way to do it. For goodness sakes, my profession, I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor, and when I graduated from medical school in 1991, I think there were 4 or 5 states in the United States that licensed and regulated naturopathic medicine. Does that mean that the laws of medicine change when you cross a state line? No, it's all politics. It has everything to do with politics, has nothing to do with public health. But my profession has slowly, the right way, the legal way, the politically correct way, right? Because we do live in a democratic republic, and there are rules whether you like them or not. And if you don't like them, well, institute change legally. And don't tell me that your voices can't be heard. That's ridiculous. We've made so much positive change here in the United States. If you want to focus on the bad, I don't know where you're coming from, for goodness sakes. But you don't see the naturopathic doctors running around tearing things down, burning things, because we haven't had a free medical market. And on a relative scale of things, this is a much bigger problem than anything else in this country right now, the lack of a free medical market. But my point here is that the silent majority is just that, the majority. No, you don't need to worry about creating a parade or generating a march or writing signs and going out into the public. All you need to do is harness the immense political power which is at your fingertips. This is my call for a letter writing campaign to your local, state, and federal governments, letting them know your concerns, your voice, what you will do. And for goodness sakes, that will in fact do two things. Number one, it will give you something to do in order to feel like you are rising to the occasion here, because it's very frustrating watching all of this nonsense go on and thinking that you're powerless in the face of it. And number two, it will make your position known. And then when you see the results of it, you will perhaps understand a little more that all along, guess what? It was in fact you who had the power. It's not the minority, it's the majority here. And it's time that we rose up together, made our voices heard constructively inside of the system that we love and hold so close to our hearts. Visit riseupintohealth.com, download the document, fill it in, sign it, and send it to your local, state, and federal representatives, and let's make a difference right now.